أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والشمس وضحاها والقمر إذا تلاها والنهار إذا جلاها والليل إذا يغشاها والسماء وما بناها والأرض وما طحاها ونفس وما سواها فألهمها فجورها وتقواها قد أفلح من زكاها وقد خاب من دساها كذبت ثمود بطغواها إذ انبعث أشقاها فقال لهم رسول الله ناقة الله وسقياها فكذبوه فعقروها فدمدم عليهم ربهم بذنبهم فسواها ولا يخاف عقباها. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوات.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. I probably should say Assalamu alaikum, Hujjaj Baytullah al-Haram. All of you here uh, either went to Hajj, like myself, or inshallah going to Hajj this year, like myself, or inshallah you'll be Hajj in the future if you're not, like Mahdi. um, I was curious and looked Google the other day and said Googled how many Hajj are going this year, and they told me last year there was 1.83 million Hajj that went last year. They expect around 2 million this year, and as you know, there's 2 billion Muslims in the world. So if you divide the 2 million by 2 billion, this is a 0.001%. So that tells a lot. That tells how blessed you are that Allah chose you to go to Hajj, inshallah, this year and to do all the amal, knowing that Hajj is not only a set of amal, it is a journey full of spirituality, and this is, inshallah, what our dear guest speaker, Hajja Najah Bazzy, inshallah, will enlighten us with information and knowledge about this journey, inshallah, so that we make sure that this journey is going to be the best in our lives. I know all of you know Hajja Najah. Hajja Najah is a leader in the community. Hajja Najah is a member of Mecca community from day one. She's a renowned speaker, and of course, we are so happy and honored to have her with us tonight. Without further delay, I would ask Hajja Najah to come to the podium after Salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.
Thank you. Do I have to stay behind here? Because are you YouTubing or yani?
It is on YouTube, but they could move the camera.
Okay, I would prefer just to talk with you. It's more personal. And this is such a personal thing. So first of all, Bismillah. Class took about 2 hours, but I think the majority of the questions have already been answered. I was following along when Sayyid Saleh was presenting, and there's always so many questions. You know, the alim will teach something, and then a million questions come into your mind. Tonight is not about the rules and the regulations. So that's a problem.
You know what? If you don't want, we'll put on the Allahumma salli ala, or on the slide.
Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah,
Let's put up the slides. Assalamu alaikum to everyone who's listening, including probably my son. So this journey, usually when I teach this class, when you enter, we're playing this beautiful labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Labbaik Allah sharika laka labbaik. Inna alhamdu wa ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika laka labbaik. And what I want to say is that's the starting point. Because you're not going to Hajj because you chose to go to Hajj. You said yes, you're going to go to Hajj. You said yes to an invitation. But that invitation came long before. And I may say things that Sayyid Saleh has already said to you, but I'm not a scripted person. So I can't read from a script. I don't know how to read from a script. So I only know how to speak from my heart. So if I'm saying things that he's already said, feel free to say he covered it. We don't need to hear it again. I'm okay with that, and I'll move on. But in that world of souls, before we were created, when the great covenant happened, and the Quran tells us that there was a covenant between all of us, the children of Adam, and it's okay that my brother's phone's ringing because he's my brother.
Older.
My eldest brother. He didn't see the Mecca. He wasn't reading his Mecca chat. The point being, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created Adam and he pulled us from the loins of Adam, as the Quran says, and we became the souls. Some say we were the people of the particles. Some people call it the people of the souls. The souls, we were all existing before this human body. When that was happening and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took this amazing covenant, he asked you, because your soul is fully learned, he said to you, am I not your Lord? We said, yes, you are our Lord. The hadiths tell us that after we said, yes, you are our Lord, we said, labbaik Allahumma labbaik. And the numbers of times that you said, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, would be the numbers of times that you would be granted Hajj. So you all said it once, at least, and many of you more than once. And some of you probably needed to get unplugged, because people may have said it many, many times. The point being, that soul that was once created, that never dies, that soul that is pure energy and that belongs to God, that soul that returns to God, Hajj is the manifestation, the reenactment of that covenant. That's what your Hajj is. We don't give much thought to the way we're created. But if you think about our creation and the purpose of Hajj, and you understand that we were created to worship, because that's what the Quran says, the way in which God wanted us to worship came first. And then he created our bodies to do what he wanted us to do, for us to worship him the way he wanted to be worshiped. Hence, your forehead is here because he wanted you in the prayer to be in sujood. Hence, he made a flat forehead. Your hands are webbed so that your hands can lay to the ground. Your knees bend, your back bends. All of the positions that you take in your salah were created for the purpose of worship. But we don't think about that. We think, oh, I'm commanded to pray. My scholar teaches me how to pray. I go to Sunday school and I learn to pray. And then we go through these motions without understanding what's behind the deepness of the creation. You are created to pray. Your bodies were made to pray. Your frontal lobe was put here so that the thoughts that you have, everything in you, every cell in you is created in a specific way. And all of that manifests itself in all of the things that we do in Hajj. We may do many ziyaras in our lives to our imams, our honorable imams, and they deserve that. But there is nothing more important than your Hajj. So you're answering the invitation. You said just a little bit ago that you never thought that you would say yes. You don't want to leave the comfort of your home. But you're saying yes because you said yes. And that's what's important. It's not easy to go to Hajj for the first time, and especially for people who have little children or responsibilities. But you've probably already began to experience that somehow things start to align for you. You don't even know how this alignment is happening, but things begin to fall into place for you. Your visa might come at the last second. You might be nervous about all kinds of things. I know this group alone has had to struggle with so many different things. Relax. Take a deep breath. Because you're going to God's house. If he invited you, he's not going to let you down. If I invite Sayyid Saleh to my home, it's a special invitation. It's not like if I invite somebody else, say it's Allah. I'm going to go the extra mile. I'm going to make sure things are perfect as I can make them. Let alone if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is inviting you to his house. It is Allah who creates that opportunity. And that's where your humility needs to start. You are not creating this opportunity. You need to get that off of your mind and off of the list. Because if you think that you've created this opportunity, you're in a state of arrogance rather than a straight state of humility. And you need to be in that state of humility. So now the journey begins. Labbaik Allah, thousands and thousands and thousands of years ago, is manifesting now. And now you're on the way. You're going to visit the house of God. Sayyid Salih may have covered this, but the Quran is the center of the earth. This is scientific. If you draw a line from every part of the earth, the center of the earth is where the Kaaba actually is. And the Kaaba is directly aligned with what we call Bayt al-Ma'mur, which I'm sure you talked about, in the fourth heaven, meaning that there's a direct connection between what is in heaven and what is on earth. You are entering the universal orbit of worship when you go to Hajj. You were in heaven. You came to earth. When you go to Hajj, it's a reenactment of being in heaven. So it's a descension this way and an ascension this way. So when you go to see the Kaaba, we'll cover Mecca first. We'll cover Medina later because Medina's easy. Medina's a vacation. But in Hajj, for those of you who've been there at least for Umrah, how many of you are first time going to Mecca, first time? Okay. So let's just talk about the Kaaba, and I'm sure that Sayyid already did. But as you know, there's these four corners, north, south, east, the west, the four corners of the earth. That's what the Kaaba represents. When you're in the Kaaba, obviously, you're going to be doing your Tawaf. So let's talk about a few things. Let's talk about that Tawaf, that circumambulation. I want you to understand the deep, deep meaning of Tawaf. When you're circulating that during that Tawaf, you're reenacting exactly what's happening in the heavens. Because we know from our hadiths that 70,000 angels are circumambulating that Bayt al-Ma'mur, and they leave and another 70,000 come. This is happening the entire time in the heavens, and it's happening on earth all of the time. Through the winds, through Tawaf, there's always a circular motion. That circular motion is even in our human bodies. It goes against time, because time goes this way. What I love about Tawaf is it goes this way, as though you're returning to your the primordial self. You're returning to the past, even though you're in the present. When you are in Tawaf, I always say, and of course the thing is everything starts with niyyah in Islam. Everything starts with your intention, and you have a scholar with you. So every single move you make, he's going to be with you. You don't have to worry about that. He's going to gather you as a group. You're going to stand together. He's going to say, make the niyyah for this. Let's assume it's Tawaf. You make your niyyah for your Tawaf. He's going to make sure that each one of you say it correctly. He's going to guide you. He's going to make sure that the resources you need are available. You're going to see that Kaaba for the first time. And I think you did cover this. And I know it sounds like a genie in the bottle story. It sounds like a little mystical. But it's the truth. When your eyes lay on the Kaaba for the first time, and I can't help but cry through these things, and you are granted 3 wishes, think about those 3 wishes. And I pretty much guarantee you that it's about nothing worldly. Because when you're there, there's nothing worldly that you need. It becomes about yourself, your family, your forgiveness. It becomes about your akhirah, your eternity. That's all you really want. And so many people have told me, and I've gone to Hajj many times, that when they first saw the Kaaba, not only were they mesmerized, they were kind of like stuck. They couldn't think of 3 wishes. I said, so what did your heart tell you? To pray for myself and my family for heaven. Because that's really what it's about. We talk about this begin with end in mind. This is the beginning with end in mind. So when you are in your tawaf, I want you to attach yourself to one of our imams or whomever it is you attach to. For me, it's Zainab alayhi salam. When I'm in Hajj, I feel her presence with me. I attach to Lady Zainab alayhi salam. I imagine when I'm in Hajj, I imagine her. What would she be like in Hajj? How would she walk? Walk like Zainab. And we have the blessing that our imams, they transcend gender. So Imam Zain al-Abidin, you feel his presence in Hajj. You hear his voice. You see him on the wall of the Kaaba. You understand things that you hear the stories about, but they become real when you're in the Hajj. Things manifest. Things come to you. You have deep understanding of things. But in Hajj, attached to someone or something that makes you strong. Yes, people will be pushing you. Assalamu alaikum, Yusuf. People will be tight like this on you. You will feel squished. You will feel like you can't breathe. That's true. I'm not going to lie to you about those things. And you might say, why is God putting me through these things? It's because life is struggle. Life does compress us, and life does help us exhale. And there's actually a beautiful feeling you get when you accomplish your tawaf and you have been squeezed. And as he told you, you want to be able to take every single step yourself. But I want you to keep that left shoulder aligned because you're like the angels on earth. And so don't be frustrated. Don't let anyone take you out of your character. In character and Hajj is very different than we are, here in everyday life. But if you really want to make Hajj, you have to forget this dunya. You have to let it go. You have to make a decision when you get on that airplane that it's all behind you. When we pray and we do Allahu Akbar and we go like this, what are we doing? What are we doing? And we're putting it all behind. That's how we do this, right? You're leaving it all behind you. When you get in that airplane, you are leaving it all behind you. God is in charge of your children. He gave them to you. God is in charge of your home. He gave it to you. God is in charge of your sustenance. He gave it to you. It's impossible for you to beat God. It's impossible. And it's impossible for you to go to his house and you be more hospitable than him. It's impossible. So all of the stresses and the worries that you have, I'm going to keep telling you, practice now to let them go. In Tawaf, you're joining the spiritual orbit. You're joining the orbit on earth with the orbit in heaven. You're joining the universal declaration of the oneness of God. But more importantly, you are centering yourself in Tawheed. Because the Kaaba is the core. And now you're doing this. And you're creating Islam as your core. You're creating Tawheed within yourself in that spiritual orbit. It's not just you throw on your white clothes and the men throw on their towels and we go down and we do this 7 rounds. It's not like that's far more than that. When you're in Tawaf, you will forget many of these things because you're struggling to get through the Tawaf. And may Allah make it easy for you. But there will be moments where it's not easy. I believe that everyone should also have a magic key. I think that there's a word that everybody has. Find a word that works for you. Find a word that you love, an Islamic word that you love. And when things are tight and you feel like you're just exhausted or you can't do it or there's a lot of pushing or shoving, say the word. For example, if it's La ilaha illallah, Keep the word. Find your word. And use that word as kind of like your magic key. And I swear to you, things open up in front of you. You're hot. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to send you wind. Things happen and God is listening. If a GPS can track you anywhere you are and tell you which direction to go and you think God can't track you in the Hajj, you think he can't make things happen for you? Of course he can. So this is our Tawaf. You already know about the black stone. You know that that's your starting point. Let's go a little bit deeper. The black stone is what? An angel. And its color was white. And it came to Adam. We always talk about Ibrahim building the Kaaba. But by many of our narrations, Adam, which makes sense, because if Allah's going to put the first man on earth, of course he's going to put the first house of worship on earth. It was gifted to Adam from Jibreel. That makes sense. Milky white, pristine white. But this angel's sole job is to receive our sins. Hence, it's become black from our sins. It's an energy transference. Have you ever met somebody, they walk in the room, and you feel like the room lit up? You feel like they just have a positive energy and you feel good about them? You've experienced that? You meet somebody, you see somebody, feel good. Have you had the opposite? Somebody walks in and you're like, whew, there's something. That angel is receiving all of that something and taking it out of you. Because step by step in Hajj, you're moving through purification. Step by step, it's all designed for you to reach one station after another spiritual station, after another spiritual station, until you come home. So every corner of that Kaaba is significant. Now, I know you talked about Hajar Ismail and that we have 70 prophets buried there and all of that. Now, a lot of times they close it during Hajj, but you might be able to get in. It's right beneath Golden Gutter. Some of us call it Mizrab al-Rahmi, the gutter of mercy. Some call it Mizab al-Rahmi. There's something on that wall. I don't know what it is. It's some sort of magnetic spiritual force. It's not explainable in human words, but it's there. And anyone who's been on that wall knows what I'm talking about. People get to that wall and you cry from a place in your soul that you've never known before. There's something there. I've read so many ahadiths about that wall. Perhaps it has to do with the prophets that are buried there. Whatever it is, try your best, when you're not in Tawaf, but when you're just hanging out near the Kaaba, to get to the different walls. Sayyidina would be an expert at getting to the walls of these Hajj when you're not in Tawaf, right? So in Tawaf, you're always going to be left shoulder, you're going to walk, and you're going to walk with control. To the sisters, I advise you to walk like this. Keep your hands inward so that you are protected and that you are safe. And I don't think I need to say anything more than that. For the most part, the brothers are able to help you, but you can't always depend on that. So you will be together a lot. You will form bonds that you've never had before with people that last a lifetime. Maqam Ibrahim. Just the fact that his footsteps are there and that his footsteps are in this heavenly substance that lifted him and brought him down and lifted him and acted as a spiritual ladder for him to build a Kaaba. The fact that you're going to be there, that you're going to be able to see it, and that you're standing between the house of God and Ibrahim. Take this in. Understand where you are. Understand whose footsteps you're walking in. The first time you do Tawaf, it may be very hard to concentrate. That's okay. Give yourselves a break. You might be like, I'm doing it wrong. There is no right or wrong. The first time, you're going to just try to get through it. You might not be able to read surahs. You might just be able to just talk to God from your heart. That's the best that you can do. That's fantastic. I want to tell you, be easy on yourselves. You might have this image, I'm going to go into Tawaf and I'm going to read all of Surah Al-Rahman. Well, you may not. You may not be able to focus on anything except keeping your shoulder, your left shoulder, to the Kaaba and getting through the 7 rounds without losing your wudu. So there is the physical aspect of the Tawaf. There is the spiritual aspect of the Tawaf. But when you're not doing a mandatory Tawaf, when you're not in Ihram, and we're going to talk about that, you'll have time to go down and do Tawaf again. Hopefully they let you. I don't know the new rules there now. Let's talk about your sa'i. I want to talk about Mecca for a minute. The difference between Mecca and Medina is really amazing. Before we talk about sa'i, Mecca is very harsh. It's a very harsh land. It's was and still is mountainous. It's a valley. And no matter how many 5 to 7 star hotels they build around the Kaaba, almost obnoxiously, that overtower the Kaaba, still, no matter how and what they do, the Kaaba has its own izz. It has its own karama. It has its own dignity. No 7-star hotel can take it away from it. It is majestic unto itself. Medina is very lush. Medina is an oasis city, but Mecca is very harsh. I would say even the people of Mecca are much harsher than the people of Medina. You know, we are from the people of the lands that we come from. Let's talk about you finishing your Tawaf. You've made your 7 rounds. You understand that you're in the spiritual orbit. You are in your Ihram, which we're going to talk about in detail. And now you're going over to Zamzam. You're going to take some water. You're going to drink from this incredible well that sprung up from the earth to quench the thirst of a baby, to have birds fly, to bring tribes to. Hence, Mecca becomes this incredible city of trade and of commerce and of prosperity because of the story of a woman and her baby. I love the story of Hajj. I love it because it's such a story of sacrifice. And your Hajj is a story of sacrifice. Everybody that goes to Hajj takes a lot with them. And I don't mean your suitcases. Your suitcases might weigh 50 pounds each. But many of us go to Hajj with deep, heavy hearts. Loss, suffering, war, poverty, abuse. So many things that people have carry with them. Not everyone comes into their Islam and grows up to be a pristine Muslim. Hence, because God knows that we're not going to be pristine, He makes sure that that angel that you're saying salam to every time you go around the Kaaba, I heard you talk about that, Sayyidina. You're saying salam to that angel, and that angel is receiving all of those sins. I mean, it's an amazing system if you really think about it. So after you drink this water and you refresh yourself, and you head over to the mountains of Safa and Marwa, between which Hajar ran back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. The word is sa'i, and the word means isha. You're walking between despair and hope, because that's what she did. She ran from despair to hope, seeing a mirage of water, back to despair, back to hope, seeing a mirage here, back and forth. That's the story of our lives. We all run between despair and hope, sometimes on a daily basis. We're between 2 things, 2 energy fields. This is Safa and Marwa. And then finally, as this woman is left alone, really with God, and with the faith and the deepness that Ibrahim had to leave her there with God, up springs this incredible geyser of water, this holy water. Wash your face with it, drink it, enjoy it. It's so delicious. But I want you to think about your own Zamzam. And this is sometimes where I think we miss the spirituality of Hajj, which is why I love to teach this class. Because we really have to go through the ahkam, because you have to make sure you get it right. And that's the job of the scholars. But we can't miss the deep spiritual piece of this. Everybody has a Zamzam in your soul. Safa and Marwa, I would say to you, ask Allah when you're walking back and forth, what is your Zamzam? What is your purpose? What are you doing with your life? What should you be doing with your life? What kind of obedience will you be in to your Lord? What lessons have you learned in your own life, going back and forth between your own despair and hope? Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be your constant compass, to constantly be your guide. Pray for your families, pray for your ummah, pray for people who are ill. Pray as much as you can. And pray for yourself. Pray for your own salvation. But ultimately, for the people who are there, you're in a good place. You're in a healthy place because you're already on the journey. We're just shedding the layers of materialism when we're there. There's a beautiful saying I recently learned. The more you are, the less you need. That's so powerful. The more you are, the less you need. That's very true. And that's what it's like in Ihram. Because you become so much more in Ihram. There's really nothing that you need. Except for a squirt bottle, which I'll tell you about. So this is Tawaf, this is Safa and Marwa. Let's talk about Arafat. You know, your Hajj begins when you go to Arafat. You're probably going the night before? Alhamdulillah, that way you don't have to worry, there isn't stress that you're not going to get there before noon. When I went to my first Hajj, because I came from two schools of thought, I thought Arafat was this big mountain. And I thought I had to go out onto the mountain. And I had to go find this hill where the Prophet gave his last sermon, and that's where I was supposed to be. Long story short, that wasn't smart. Arafat is a plain, but what does Arafat mean when you go there? Arafat comes from the word to come to know. In English, Arafat means to come to know. I come to know you, right? Arafat, ma'rafah, to come to know. But what's the story? Did you talk about the story of Adam and Eve in Arafat? Oh, you don't remember? Okay.
Go ahead, you say it.
Okay, so I don't want to bore them.
No.
So the story of Arafat is so beautiful. Wow. And it makes sense that it's the beginning of your Hajj. So in Arafat, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala placed Adam on earth, our hadiths say that he placed Eve like somewhere in the Sri Lanka area. That's like almost 3,000 whatever miles or whatever away from each other. Remember, they were soulmates in heaven. And so they missed each other. And when Allah joined them together on earth, he joined them where? In Arafat. In Arafat, they came to know one another. But here's the deeper meaning. What do you think Arafat is for you? To come to know yourself. To come to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to see Allah in all of his splendid glory. This is where I can't help but cry. On the day of Arafat, you'll already be in your ihram. You will be intense. It might be hot. You might get irritable. The tent's air conditioning hopefully works. It may not. It's a test of patience. It's your ability to quiet yourself. Try to put yourself in a place of steadfast worship. Even your sleep in Arafat is worship. If you sleep, it's fine. Being in Arafat is worship until the sun sets. What I can't figure out is why Hamlis leave instead of stay, except for there's a busing system that sometimes forces the Hamlis to have to leave as the sun is setting, especially for the women. But when the sun sets, as you well know, this is the moment that you should be outside. And you should be watching the sunset. Because the sun itself is a sign of God. It's one of God's ayahs. And as that sun is setting and the angels are descending, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala descends Jibreel, alayhi salatu wasalam, the greatest archangel of all, to greet you and to say to you, every single one of you, Allah sends his salams. And he says to you that you are rebirthed, you are reborn, clean and free of all sin. This is your moment. This is your renewal. This is your covenant. This is labbaik Allahumma labbaik. This is the return to the primordial soul. This is a moment of tremble. This is a moment of calm. It's a moment that, and I don't want to sound shameful in any way, but the only word that comes to my mind, this is a moment that unzippers you. And your soul is just at peace if you take the time to be still. If you take the time to take this in. From Arafat, the first station is Arafat. You're going to move to Muzdalifah. The word Muzdalifah, it comes from the root word istilaf. It's a narrow type place. It's not, but it is. And I heard you speak about Muzdalifah. I personally, everybody knows this about me, I'm a big fan of Muzdalifah. I'm probably the only person who's a big fan of Muzdalifah. Muzdalifah to me is the ultimate part of Hajj. Because, you know, the sky is your roof and the earth is your bed. There's no other way to describe it. You'll have a sleeping bag. A lot of people fall asleep. It's fine. I stay up, look at the stars, smile. You're as pure can be. You're at peace, and you're gathering your strength. But Muzdalifah, what's so beautiful is how Allah orders all of the creatures of the desert to become homeless so that you can have a home. This is the karama that He gives you, even though you're sitting on the earth. Now, the sisters may not be able to go to Muzdalifah. They may only be able to go to Muzdalifah for a short time. I'm sorry about all of the laws and rules that these hamlis, put upon us. But no matter what, in Muzdalifah, you'll be there at least for a little bit. Every time you move to a station, pray, think, renew, revow, recommit, and also be still. Take in the messages that God's giving you. Seek clarity. If you journal, journal. If you use your phone to journal, do that. Don't let these moments go by. In Muzdalifah, especially for the men, you can pick your pebbles. I once heard Sayyid Hassan tell us a hadith that when you go to pick your pebbles, that it's almost as though, there's a relationship between you and that pebble, that it's almost ordained somehow for you to choose. I brought you some examples that I'm going to go through with you about pouches and just a few little things that you should do. Things that will help you through your Hajj, little ideas. But in Muzdalifah, it is the place that you pick those pebbles. Your hamli might pick them for you. They might get them from Mecca. They may get them from Muzdalifah. You don't really know 100% for sure. I'm sure you don't know yet until you get there. But all of this is under Sayyid Salah's guidance. He's going to make sure you have exactly what you need. You're not going to go to the shaitan without enough stones. And while I'm on that, you cannot take anything home with you that belongs in Hajj except for what you pay for. You're not allowed to take those stones home, not even the dust that's in your pocket. You empty all that out. You own nothing. This is all sacred land, so don't make that mistake. Because I remember one time somebody came home with a pouch of pebbles. After Muzdalifah, you're going to go to Mina. Why? Who knows what happens in Mina? The word Mina in English means the place from which something flows. So in Mina is where your sacrifice happens. It's the reenactment of Ibrahim alayhi salam. It's the reenactment of him and his son. Hajj is all about the story of Ibrahim and his family. It's where the shaitan tempted him and where he pelted the shaitan. And that's what you're going to do. You might wonder, think about this, why are you pelting the shaitan when you're already pure and clean? You were just standing on Arafat. Why would you do it now? Why does God have it in that order? Think about that. And the reason for that is because if you pelt the shaitan and you're not so pure and clean, the shaitan can still influence you. But when Allah has just forgiven you and you have a clean slate, it's like you have spiritual muscle that you never had before. And so when you're throwing those stones, you're throwing and you're pelting, but what you're saying is, you can't touch me anymore. Your days are over. I no longer belong to you. I disavow myself from you. I belong to my Lord, and He is your protector. And you kind of build this energy and protection, like a vaccination. You inoculate yourself with a power that you didn't have before. So it's like new tools that you get, a new armor to protect you. Do you have to protect yourself when you come home from Hajj? Yes, of course you do. At the same time, that's what you're doing there. And then the dabah happens. And then the rest of the rules of Ihram. And then your Tawaf and your Sa'i and your last Tawaf. All to say, some of the things that I think are just vitally, vitally important is your frame of mind and your frame of reference. If your frame of reference is your Lord and your North Star is God, then everything in that orbit, as the sun sets, in Muzdalifah, in Mina, all of these acts of worship can come together and you can return home. I don't want to say different, because we're still who we are. I would say reformed isn't the right word either. Committed isn't the right word either. Maybe there isn't a word for it. Maybe it just is what it is. And that's okay to not have words for it, because it's so deep that sometimes it's hard to find words for it. It's hard to come home and to be with your loved ones who don't know what you've experienced because they've never been there. It's hard for them to understand what you just went through. And that's why having your group with you is really powerful, because your group understands what you have gone through. And then the idea that you should ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to revisit His house as often as you can, whether in Umrah or Hajj again. Medina is beautiful. Medina is a vacation. Medina is such a good feeling, and it's so beautiful that you're going to Medina first. Medina is, remember, Medina is the state of the Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. It's where he established the first Islamic government, but it's where all of the Islamic principles come together in one place. Pluralism, prosperity, peace, diplomacy, intercultural, deep faith, the laws of our humanity, how we govern ourselves. All this happens in Medina. And so when you visit the Rasul, and the sky in Medina is just very special. It's like this purple when the sun sets, so beautiful. You will get into the Roda, inshallah. You will have your time there. Hajja will be with the sisters. So, you have people who've been there before, who will guide you, who will help you. I know, Mimi, you've gone before. So there are people who will be there. And when you get into the Roda, you are going to stop, drop, and pray, because that is heaven on earth. And you feel the presence of Fatima Zahra there. You feel the presence of your imams. You're visiting them. It's like you've gone to Mecca, to the house of God, but in Medina, you're in the house of the Rasul. That's where he lived. Like there, right there, in the mosque, that area, that's his house. Of course, it wasn't so big like that. And you will visit the different places in Medina But I want you to think about a feeling I want you to focus on. You might feel it, you may not, I don't know. But it seems to me, it's hard to leave Medina. It's hard for me to leave Medina. I'm not going to say it's hard for everybody. It's very hard for me to leave Medina because there's a protection you feel there from your Rasul alayhi salatu wasalam. You feel like this fatherly presence that's just protecting you. And of course, when you say Assalamu alaikum ya Rasulullah, he is responding to you and he's saying Assalamu alaikum, so and so and so and so. He's speaking to you from his grave. The same thing with your imams that you're going to visit. It's such like a family reunion in Medina, a spiritual family reunion. But I want to say this. You can also feel when your time's up in Medina. You feel it. You can feel your prophet saying, go. You visited me as I asked you to visit me. Now go. Go to the house of God. You feel something going like, it's okay. Go. I love you. Go. It's really a profound feeling. Pay attention to it. Try to be as present as you can through your Hajj. But also have fun. Hajj is fun, by the way. We're not talking about the fun elements of Hajj. The bonds you make with your group, unbelievable. Yeah, you're going to struggle with the rooms and the bathrooms and the lines, and you're going to be exhausted, all this other kind of stuff. But there's an exhilaration that comes along with it, too. Enjoy every piece of it. Take it all in. And try your best when you come across a thought to write it down. This is the spirituality of Hajj. I didn't cover everything because we're short on time. But what I do want to do is for the men, the brothers. My husband has made Umrah 100 times, mashallah, literally, because he used to work there. So I always keep his ahrams. I give them away and things like that. But I wanted the brothers who've never been to Hajj to at least come up and feel it. This isn't a bad one. And you have Sayyid Salah. He'll tell you what's a good one. It's not a bad one. But you want to make sure that you have, what am I doing here? I'm holding this like it's a microphone because I'm used to holding a microphone. You want to make sure that you have one that's really good and that, covers you well. This is about a good size for a bag, for a pouch. Usually they'll give you one, but I always take one home as well. From home with me, just buy one. It can even just be a baggie. It doesn't have to be anything significant because you're going to end up throwing it away anyway.
Sister Malak made for the Hajj.
Did you really? God bless you. This is your best friend. Sorry saying it to be so blunt. The bathrooms are far away when you're in Tawaf. And if you lose your wudu in Tawaf and you have to leave, it's not like everybody's leaving with you. So I recommend everybody keeps a little bottle, squirt bottle. This is phenomenal. All you do, you lose your wudu in Tawaf, depends on what cycle, say it's go over that, whether it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, seventh, they have different rules. You simply go out of the Tawaf, you find yourself a little tiny corner. For the sisters, you just throw your clothes above you, you hide, you put a little bit of water in your hand. Sayyid Saleh talked about wudu. Remember, first, second, allowable. Third, strike, you're out. No 3 times water. First base, second base, third base, out. You can't use water 3 times. That's why you don't need that much. You can do your whole wudu with a little bit of water. It's no joke. Take unscented Kleenex, you're done. You're just going to doom, done. Go back into your Tawaf, men and women. You don't really need to go to the bathroom if you've lost your wudu simply because you lost wind, which isn't unusual if your body's being pushed and pressed. SubhanAllah, some kind of miracle from God. Most people don't lose their wudu. You don't even know how that happens, but for the most part, people don't. But if you do, there's a solution. There's a solution for everything in Hajj. It's an incredible system. What do you think about this? You think this is about the right size?
Yes.
Okay.
It's the tip of the finger.
So I want to pass this around because, many people grab like boulders. No, I'll leave it up here too. This is about the right size that you're going to be looking for. For the men, this is one of my favorite pairs of slippers. I don't know, I think you'll see what you think, but this one you don't have to cut so much back.
Oh, okay.
Because when you put them on the front of the foot, it depends on the size of the foot. But at least when you're cutting this one back, you can cut against the line.
Yes.
So they're different than the ones they used to have. These are really good. So just easy to manage, right? Everyone make sure you have your own pair of scissors. Even if, just have your own pair of scissors, because you don't know if you're going to lose your hamli or not. You just never know what can happen in Hajj. So keep your own pair of scissors. Do not cut someone's hair before you cut your own. The minute you pull out your scissors, there's going to be a lineup.
Everyone's going to want to.
Remember, you have to cut your hair first. Adhan has been called. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless you, protect you, inshallah. I'm so happy for you. Congratulations.
The group, they asked to see
Mabruk.
send a water bottle.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, I'll send a picture.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah, go ahead. We have a few minutes. Go ahead.
Are you sure?
What's the significance of going there multiple times the back and forth?
Well, because you have to do Mina is where the shaitan, you have to do your rajam in Mina. So you're going the first time, and then you have to do a second time of rajam, and then you have to do a third time of rajam.
Yeah, what's the significance of it?
The shaitan, it's just the repelting of the shaitan. It's the reenactment of Ibrahim. Am I answering your question?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Other questions, thoughts? Okay, let's quickly run through the slides, Mehdi, just real quick. Oh, ihram. Do I have 2-3 minutes to talk about ihram?
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, the most important part of all, ihram. I love talking about ihram. I'm going to say this once, I'm going to say this twice. You who are on YouTube, you can hear me. This is not mandatory. Sayyid Saleh is my witness. This is not mandatory. This is me. But I like to share it with you because everything begins with intention. When you do your ghusl, you're going to do your head, your right side, your left side. I heard you talk about it. What if you took the time, even though there's a lot of people who want to get in the shower, and you intentionally did a ghusl like no other ghusl, like this? I'm serious. Wash your hair. This is for the sisters, this piece. Do your ghusl. Then after that, step back in. Make this bold intention. This I have to cry through. I can't help it. Wash your hair. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, like rinse your hair is what I mean. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive your hair for the times you did not wear hijab, if you did not wear hijab, and to replace you with modesty inside and outside. You men, wash your head and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do the same, to give you modesty in your behavior. Go to your forehead, in your face. Ask piece by piece. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive the times you did not pray, and to ask Allah to make your head the place of sujood on earth, where the earth will testify for you in your sujood. Go to your eyes. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive your eyes for the things that we see that we should not see, but we see. And ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to replace your sight with insight, basira, wisdom. Go to your nose. We all smell things we should not smell. You go into the grocery store, you can't help but smell alcohol. You go outside, you smell weed. You can't help what you smell. Rinse your nose and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give you the smell of paradise. Your ears. Whoa, the ears. And what we hear. Allahu Akbar. Wash your ears and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to replace your hearing with that which is good, and forgive your ears for the gossip and the slander that we've listened to. We all do. Your tongue, the worst enemy of all. Rinse your mouth and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you for the things you've said that you should not have said, and to replace your speech with the speech that glorifies His name in dhikr. Go to your shoulders. We're told that we will carry the heaviness on the yoke of our necks, and ask Allah to alleviate it. Go to your right side, your right arm, your right hand. Ask Allah to forgive your hand for the things it touched and the things it did that it should not have. And ask Allah to make your hands of the muslahin, the people who do good deeds, that your kitab comes in your right hand on the day of judgment. Go to the rest of your body, every part of your body, your legs, where they walked you to that you shouldn't have walked to, and ask Allah to make your steps, everything. Ask Allah to make you His servant. And most of all, ask Allah what He wants of you. Not what you always want of Him. What does He want from you? And in that, there is a spiritual surrender that if you can get yourself in that place of mind and you ask Allah to make you what He wants you to be, you have just absolved yourself from a lot of things in your future. And be in it. Be in it. It's spiritual surrender. And it is very, 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 very powerful. So do that with your body. Again, not mandatory. Everything has a niyyah. When you put your ihram on, just remember why you're putting it on. Remember that you're equalizing with humanity. Remember who you are. Remember what you're doing. Remember that this is the shedding of ego. Ihram is the shedding of all material things. And inshallah, you will go and come safely, and we ask you for your dua. And I'm available. Hajja Raya has my phone number. You have the best guides with you, so you're all in wonderful, wonderful, wonderful hands. May Allah protect you and bring you home safely. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.